Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chronicles of Hollywood History, Past, Present, and Future. Welcome. And here now, Corey Gomez.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Past, Present, and Future. Today I am joined by writer, actor, martial artist, the Black Dragon, Michael Jai White. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having me.
I think it's a shame that when you got Ron Van Cleef, more people don't introduce you that way.
Well, you know what? That felt good to hear it from you. That's the first time anyone introduced me as the Black Dragon. It felt good. For myself, I'm a little too modest. I'm still kind of in awe that the man I watched when I was a kid, who kind of was one of my images that made me train in martial arts, would hand down that moniker to me. And so I'm still kind of dumbstruck with it. He always refers to me as the Black Dragon, which really twists, it kind of really messes me up. Because I go, no, but you're the Black Dragon. He says, no, you are. And so much. And I like to get used to hearing that.
Now, if you could just get Fred Williamson to give you the moniker of Hammer, you could be the Black Hammer.
No. Fred is not giving up that.
No, I don't.
I'm surprised Hammer used that name.
I guess, yeah. When I had read that, I was like, "That's so." Because I had saw your, I saw Toxic Avenger 2, Toxic Avenger 3, Renegade. We just saw you on. I saw and forgot Universal Soldier 2 real fast. I noticed you the first time I really noticed you was right before Exit Wounds came out. You were on James Liu's magazine, Inside Kung Fu. I think you might have even made the cover. I can't remember because I used to read it real heavy back then. And I'm going to take Segal to the limit in Exit Wounds. And that's when I first saw you, I was like, oh, wait, I know who this guy is. But that's one of the first times I saw you really start doing some martial arts.
Yeah. Of Inside Kung Fu. It was a long time ago.
I spoke to James Liu a few weeks ago, and I don't know if you know this. Well, you probably know this because I said, when you were doing Iron Fist, why didn't you recommend Michael Jai White to be Luke Cage? And he said, I did recommend Luke Cage, but they went with somebody else. So I don't know if you were aware of that or not.
Well, yeah, I've been told a number of times about that whole Luke Cage thing. James Liu and a few other people kind of suggested me. Hollywood. They have their way of doing things that we may not understand sometimes.
Well, you were the first African American to play a superhero though in Spawn.
Oh yeah.
I liked Spawn. I know everybody makes fun of it, but I actually enjoyed it. What was it like doing that?
It was a little rough, physically hot. That was, but it was a great opportunity, of course. I didn't know the historical significance while I was doing it. It was only later, but I actually got myself up to watch it again for the first time in almost 20 years, and actually it was a fun little movie. I to kind of humanize this kind of disfigured being, and have some fun with it. So, it wasn't torture watching it again.
I gotta go ahead. I would like to talk about your martial arts training. I've recognized, because I have a black in Tang Soo Do, which I recognize sometimes you do Tang Soo Do. I recognize Wushu. I recognize Brazilian. Other styles in there that you blended together that look really neat. I can't put my arms around what they are though.
Well, I don't really do one style. It's really about whatever character I'm playing and how I think what makes it interesting is to fight as the character. The most interesting fights are when you can see the ethos of the individual. Kind of like if you got Christopher Walken fighting a guy like Jack Nicholson. Well, wouldn't it be interesting to see very unpredictable Christopher Walken style, Jack Nicholson, I'll bite your head off style, you know? And so that's really what it's about. And so I cherry pick from what I know to fit the style of the character I'm playing.
How old are you?
About 7 or 8.
Do you still study to this day?
Absolutely. Yeah, I really enjoy learning new arts and just plain old learning. And I love to be an empty vessel and you know, and learn just other things that just it just makes you better as a person, keeps you humble. And it's I'm kind of a martial art nerd, so I'll probably continue this. You know, I as I get older, I know I'm going to tend to do a lot more jujitsu. And
I had done Teksudo, I did Judo, and then I started doing Kenpo, but then the plague here, the coronavirus hit, so my son and I's Kenpo training kind of is on a hold right now. But yeah, I mean, your style is just amazing to watch. It's the way it flows is so.
Well, it's all about just practicing your basics, you know. And so even when you're not training, you can go over your basics, and that's really the cornerstone of anything.
Did you box as well?
Oh yeah, I've boxed extensively, and I've trained with a lot of very elite boxers for a lot of years.
I noticed when you did My Sputed 2, where you took over for Ving Rhames there as the Iceman, your boxing was flawless, just smooth.
No, thank you. Yeah, I had been boxing. I trained with some boxing trainers ever. I've trained with Emmanuel Stewart, Joe Goosen, Freddie Roach. These are some of the greatest boxing trainers ever. I've attended and champions in their camps. I've done that for a lot of years. And when I was doing that, when I did Undisputed 2, I was really coaching. I was coaching. I was coaching Scott Atkins a great deal on working on his boxing, and so it's just something I've been doing for a long time. I kind of competed in boxing for a little while, but even to this day, when I have friends who are in training camps, I tend to want to hang out and do some elite.
Did you always want to be an actor, or did you want to be like a fighter, like a kickboxer or boxer?
I was doing the kickboxing and boxing for a while. Didn't want to do it professionally. I wanted to be on the professional level, and I guess ever since I was 17, when I was 17, I was sparring with Bill Wallace.
Wow.
And he was undefeated champion.
Mm-hmm.
So ever since then, I made it a point to train with the best people I possibly could. And great Joe Louis, not the boxer, but the martial arts champion. Mm-hmm. Benny Urquidez, Wu Bin in Beijing. That's Jet Li's teacher. Masoyama. I'm from the Yam system. She was an instructor there. Joan Ree. I've trained with probably the most elite group of people of anyone I've ever met in my life. I always consider myself one of the luckiest people on the planet with that. And then with boxing, Frankie Lyle, super middleweight champion of the world, Layman Brewster, heavyweight champion, Tommy Hearns, just and really trained with them.
Would you say all that training prepared you to wear the costume of the Toxic Avenger?
No, a lot of that came. I think I wore the costume for one piece of a scene where I doubled him. But in the Toxic Avenger, I actually did a few different roles. I was supposed to be basically a day player.
You came out of the limo with the nunchucks, I remember, when we first saw you.
Yeah, I then did a few fight scenes. I choreographed some fights. I doubled I played headless dancer. I wound up like actually writing a few scenes, like, and so that was my baptism into it, and I've always had that spirit of give it all you can, you know. So when I eventually did Tyson, I was still writing and I was still creating and helping out.
And my son, he saw the Toxic movies. He was my son's very familiar with you. He's seen most of your movies. He started watching me. He was about 7 or 8, and he noticed you right off. He was like, "Hey, that's Michael Jai White." He's like, "That's the guy from Triple Threat," and I was like, "That's oh my." And then when we were watching Renegade, when I interviewed Lorenzo Lamas, I was like, "Hey, that's Michael Jai White. This got to be one of it. I'm going to see some karate here." No, nope, he's just shooting people up with crack.
Right. That character I played was so over the top. Oh my god! I give the man drugs in front of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Grand Bush played the dad. And is it Rachel True?
I think, yeah, she's the daughter, yeah.
Yeah, who's still amazing for her age. She looks the same. It's eerie. But Rachel True, I give Rachel True drugs in front of her dad, and then I beat up
that up. And then when Lorenzo catches you, you dope him up with the drug and just leave him on the side of the road for the cops.
Yeah, you know, I have a fond memory. I have this Lorenzo trusting me so much. Oh my God, I'll never forget this. I had to throw a kick, and the director wanted me to get closer because he wanted to frame us a certain way. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm too close. I can't kick at Lorenzo. I'm going to, what my thinking was, I was going to say, no, I got to back up. But before I could say that, Lorenzo said, oh no, he's a champion. He won't hit me. And I'm like, God, now I'm on the spot, and I'm thinking, how I'm way too close to this guy. But you know, he had so much confidence in me that I was like, okay, I'm gonna really try. And so I pulled my hip back so hard as to not hit him, because Lorenzo didn't know. My legs are super long. They're far longer than you think they are. I know they were longer than Lorenzo thought they were. But I did a thing where I kicked, but I cheated my hip so bad that I almost like dislodged my hip just to avoid hitting. And it came like, the kick came, I swear to you, like an inch from his nose. And I had to do it about 3 or 4 times. And this guy had wow. I mean, that's the lead in the series. If I hit him, it would not be good for me or him.
You wouldn't have been back in another episode.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I didn't have that kind of character.
No, I was able to come back 6 times as 6 different people. So.
Oh yeah, but I can't. I'm too recognizable. I mean, it was so weird. Even when I looked at it, I'm going, I'm the boss of I'm like a roadie boss.
Yeah, you were in charge of like the heavy metal band.
For rock,
I think. Yeah.
Heavy metal band, and I look all of 21. And I'm like, where this?
And I think you were making the drugs or cooking them yourself. I don't know. It was some type of designer drug, but I just know that was your go-to. If someone fucked with you, you just shot them up with the drugs and left them there.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we've done the whole thing retrospective with this guy's character. So, where did he start? Oh, at 15, he started learning how to cook up heroin. And at 16, he starts a rock and roll band like that, a roadie company. Like, this was so bizarre. I'm like, I know I was cast in a role that was meant for somebody else. It's no doubt. I just didn't make any sense in there when I really looked at it, but I don't know.
It was like fun though.
Yeah, that was my first television role in Hollywood.
Now then you got to do, well, you did Spawn, of course, and then Universal Soldier 2. What was it like? Because the first one was so popular, and now Dolph Lundgren's gone, and they bring in you and Bill Goldberg to be opposite Van Damme. Was there a lot of pressure in that role?
Universal Soldier, the first one, right?
You were like one of the soldiers, weren't you?
Yeah, you almost need to pause to see me. But it wasn't any real pressure on me. That was going to be the first movie I all out did martial arts, because when I first got to Hollywood, I didn't want to do martial art movies, and that's what happened. Because when I did the Mike Tyson movie, when I did Spawn, those are acting roles, had nothing to do with martial arts at all. When Van Damme and the company knew about me playing this role, I was the actor. This is what I wanted to happen. And so this was going to be the opportunity I can martial arts. And the great thing was, when I did martial arts in that movie, so many people said, well, did somebody double him? He didn't actually do that stuff, did he? It was like, nope. Joke's on you. No, I've been a martial artist all this time. I'm an actor. I want to be established as an actor, but I got a chance to put two things that I did and that I love together. And that was the first time. And so, I mean.
How was Van Damme to work with? You hear mixed.
Let me tell you, the two times I worked with Van Damme, he's one of the nicest.
Good.
He is such a genuine, sweet person. I mean, to this day, I think you can see that with him now, because he doesn't take himself too serious. People always the struggles that he's had, but that's more a disease, something that hurts him. Mm-hmm. But he's never been, for anything that I have evidence of work with him too. He is a fun guy. He is somebody who's like, he's kind of like a kid sometimes, He's a fun-loving guy. He really doesn't have much of an ego that I've ever seen. On Universal Soldier 2, my argument with him was he would have his stunt double kicks for him that I swear wasn't as good as Jean-Claude. I'm like, Jean-Claude, you kick better than him. Why don't you do the kick? Oh, no. I'm like, no, you're better than that. You know what I mean? So there's I was trying to encourage him. He's not, it wasn't an egotistical thing where he thought he was better than anyone. It was like he was kind of down on himself. So, and he's got some talent. It blows my mind. He never shows certain talents of his. Like, he really can dance, and he's really great with rhythm. He can do percussion. Like, the guy can. At lunch, he would actually make music, like metal, where if you're out in the hood or out in the streets, right? There'll be people that will bang on buckets and make beats, and people pay the money. He's like on that level. And I'm like, why don't you do this in a movie, man?
Well, he was in Breaking', you got to remember, so he showed some dancing skills.
He had that ballet thing when he was breaking. But he can actually dance. Like, he can dance like club dance. And guy, actually. I and he was so generous to me when we were doing Universal Soldier 1. I was freezing. And between takes, he insisted that I wear his jacket because he had a long jacket and he had a shirt underneath that. And he can see that I was just trying to deal with the cold. He wouldn't have it. I say, no. He's like, no, you're taking this. I mean, he didn't know me from anybody. But that shows you who a person truly is. And then he invited me to train with him. While I was in he had these 2 trailers that had gym equipment in it. And I'd eat with him and his friend Kamel and George, his double. And we'd hang out and even life advice. So, I mean, that's who the guy really is. So I never forgot that. And I'll always be honored by that. So yeah, that's the Jean-Claude that I know.
See, it's good to hear. I've always, a lot of art, say less than favorable things about him, and always kind of makes you wonder, did he do something to you, or are you just mad that he's in that spot and you're not, kind of thing?
I don't know what people have, what problem they have. Some producers who might have problems because as they would have problems with almost all artists, showing up and whatever. But the fact is, they're making their money because he's kind of like, he's an artist. He's going to do what he wants to do. But yeah, I really don't. I don't know many people who've met him who really. The thing is that you'll always, because he's so likable that you always will root for him. And I'm always rooting for him. I see him when he did JCVD, when he did Jean-Claude. I embraced the fact that he's so funny, and he's got such a. The guy, you know what? This is weird. He reminds me of Buster Keaton sometimes.
Really?
Like you look at JCVD and the series that he did. Mm-hmm. Look at Buster Keaton, and I'll be damned. They have a lot of similarities in their straight face humor. I think there's a similarity, and they look alike to me. In certain ways. But I'm always rooting for that guy, and I'd love to work with him again.
He's still going strong.
Yeah.
Another guy's still going strong that you work with, one of my favorites. Another one we hear less than complimentary things about, Exit Wounds with Steven Segal.
We had no problems working together. I worked with him 3 different times. There was he had this Nissan Soup campaign, and I was part of the group, and I guess Heavy crew, mm-hmm. And also he hired me on Deadly Ground, a movie for Warner Brothers that he directed. Mm-hmm. I know there's been this issue of him and I going back and forth, which is strange to me, but I don't know. I think he says something about that. There's some misinformation that was going around. We were in Thailand and talked about it and put it behind us. I think it was a bunch of misunderstandings.
It was a clip on YouTube, which for all we know was edited. He said you.
Yeah, but when I heard that, I thought, wow, why would he say that? Of course that's not true. So I was like, that doesn't make any sense because he knows it's not 2 other occasions. You know what I mean? So, and to say I'm not, that made him look worse than it made me look.
Yeah.
So I never understood. And so, but he says it was part of this misunderstanding and that he heard I said something derogatory about it. I don't know, but it's nothing that I even took to heart. I just want to sense that you just kind of go, okay, that's more about that person than it is about me. Then it's crazy.
I thought you guys did great in Exit Wounds. You had good chemistry. You had a good fight at the end. I wish it would have gone a little longer. The
fight scene was cut down. It was a much more extensive fight than there was a lot of things. I wish I could get that footage. I wish they put that out there. That fight scene was 3 times longer. There was he hurls roll of fabric at me, and it sails across the room, and I slice it through like a shark. And I mean, it got very, very Hong Kong, maybe the way it got cut, but there was a lot. It was a lot to that to that fight scene that was cut out.
Yeah, because the theatrical you took the paper cutter, you were using that. You had a little bit of a fight in the building, and he was trying to weigh you down, hanging onto the the ladder. But yeah, it was kind of like, well, I wish this would have been a longer fight. This would have been really good.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know. I just the powers that be did that stuff. That movie was that movie took a while to do, from what I remember. There's a lot of injuries in that movie.
That was his last theatrical film. A very good film.
Yeah. I liked it because it made him inadvertently make fun of himself a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so when Steven Seagal is directing traffic, and the audience is just loving that. It's like, yes, because everybody wanted him to be humbled. Everybody had a great, they had a great time. Personally, I wish he would do a little bit more of that kind of stuff. I think people would really embrace it.
I like when he got stuck in the desk when he was at anger management. I thought that was a funny moment.
See, that's the thing. It's like, that was a brilliant thing with the script. They had their finger on the pulse of what the people wanted to see, and they wanted to see, Steve to be humbled a bit, and I think that's what really works. I mean, it certainly works for Van Damme when he does it, and I don't think it'll be a bad thing for Steven to do now.
No, I thought he was great in Machete, especially because he was supposed to be like, and he didn't even bother to change the accent. He would just say Punto every once in a while. I was like, this is awesome. He needs to be the bad guy like this and always have two naked Asian women behind him in everything he does from now on. But he
personally, I feel like I have an idea for Steven Seagal that would change his career drastically.
Can you share it?
Okay, I'll just say these words. Steven Seagal.
I could see that.
Now picture that. His serious delivery in a Naked Gun movie, funnier than Leslie Nielsen.
Mm-hmm.
Because of his dry delivery, it would be hilarious to have Steven Seagal take over the Naked Gun series. It makes me laugh just thinking about it.
Think he'd go for it?
No.
Okay.
I don't know if he has that type of sense of humor.
Well, he was the cock puncher in the Onion movie, so he played the cock puncher in that Onion movie, so maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, but that's still broad. It's like, he's playing, he's making fun of it. But a Naked Gun means he's almost making fun of himself.
Yeah.
Right? So that's just a different thing. Oh my God, I think it would be amazing if he did. I think it would be one of the funniest things out there if he were the new Sergeant Driven.
Would he still do the Aikido? Or would that have to be scrapped?
I think, of course, it has to be humbling. Or he's throwing around the wrong person. You know what I mean? It's it's got to be that kind of commitment, but messed up. He's beating the hell out of somebody, and somebody goes, that's the witness. That kind of a thing. Oh well. Can you imagine for a second?
It'd be a blockbuster. Now the first time you really got to show, in my opinion, I could be wrong, really what you could do was Undisputed 2. Would you say that was the first time you really got to showcase a lot of your martial arts?
Martial arts in that movie. I played a boxer who learned a little bit. Now, this was quite on purpose. They wanted me to be a martial artist in Undisputed 2. I fought against that because if I was a martial artist, if I started out as a martial artist, the beauty of that movie is that I'm this arrogant boxer who has to be humbled and taught something. I need an arc. I had to learn this new thing to overcome this badass boycott character. Now, if I already knew how to kick and punch, well, I'm better than Scott. We did that very successfully. But where would my character be going if I already knew martial arts?
You got to learn from the crippled guy in the basement. He taught you the judo.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the movie. Learning from him, becoming more of a human, helping out others, and the thing. I mean, Paramount, people were crying at the end of that movie. They were crying at a movie that only cost $800,000 to shoot.
The best part of that movie is when the guy says, "You'll be here forever. What are you waiting for?" And right before the music hits, you just go, "Bell." That hits. That was a very Rocky-esque moment there.
Right, very, very much. And it's a very cheap movie done in Bulgaria. And when I go to help this man who thinks he's going to live the rest of his life in that prison, that he's coming with me because I'm going to reconnect him with his loved one. And the eyes on Ellie Denker, that actor, are you kidding me? That screening. Jim Brown came to me, said he cried during that moment. I got Jim Brown to cry. I'm done. I could have quit right then.
Yep, that's retired.
Yeah. I mean, Jim Brown cried at that scene. And people love that movie. Even the man who owned the company, Millennium, he loved that movie so much that he was going to buy it back because he hadn't seen it till the screening.
And that was Isaac Florentine was the director of that, correct?
Isaac Florentine was the director, yeah.
And then he kept going. I got to interview him. He was a real nice guy. And then he kept going with.
Yep.
What was it like working with Scott? That was one of his big first showcases too.
That's the thing that really launched Scott. Yeah.
And he looked massive in that film.
Yeah, we that was a camera trick. He was cut, but we as if we were around the same size. When we first walk up eye to eye, he's on apple boxes. So he looks like he's a little bit taller than me, and he's in a coat. It convinces the audience that this guy might be a little bigger than I am. And in a lot of the pictures where I'd be standing shorter and I'd be profile while he's standing, so he looks bigger, you know. So it's we did a lot of things. Basically, we copied off of Rocky, because and Carl Weathers are massively different sizes. But you kind of thought that they were both around the same size in Rocky.
Because Stallone's very small compared to Carl Weathers.
Oh, yes. It's about the same difference between myself and Scott Adkins.
Because I always remember one of my favorite Stallone movies is Cobra. And at the end, when he gets on the motorcycle and Brigitte Nielsen gets on the back with him, it's like a mom is going to keep. So see, that was bad camera work. It exposed that. So.
Right. Yeah. It's and you know one thing that they did. I mean that scene where running with Apollo Creed in the sand.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because Sylvester Stallone being closer to the camera and higher, as you know, when it's one closer to the water, and if you've got Carl Weathers running beside him, they look around the same size. That was a great camera trick.
Carl Weathers, he should have been Action Jackson. I should be watching, when we're done talking, I should be watching Action Jackson Part 17. So maybe you can take up that mantle next.
Yeah, well, we've I mean, the harsh reality of a lot of things is that a lot of black actors opportunities. Mm-hmm. We see that over and over. So it's just, that's something that's just, it's like, I mean, think about it. what we were just talking about. Man, what's his name? Right now, but you look at Undisputed, and and very similarly, what to have Scott continue, right, and mean not show up anymore. When you go, there's a lot of things that it's like even. I mean, there people like to hold on to the belief that don't sell overseas. Well, that's simply not true, because action movies, whether you're black or white, sell overseas. It's just holding on to that belief might excuse someone's racism.
See, and that's 100%. I can testify. I'm a collector of films, and the majority of my action films that I sourced on DVD from England, they're from Australia. They're released. Action movies are released more broadly overseas than they are here.
Yes.
I think. I mean, I have so many movies movies from the '90s. You can't get them here, but yeah, in the UK, I can get them all on DVD or Blu-ray. They have different names, but I still have them.
Well, yeah. I mean, just the harsh reality is that you can be a white lead actor and you can have bomb after bomb to the plate to do it over and over. If you're black, no. Even if you have a success, doesn't mean that you're gonna be asked to since you're such an aficionado, think about this. Remember Timac?
Yeah, Last Dragon.
Last Dragon?
Never saw it again.
That was a very, very successful movie.
Mm-hmm.
Great looking guy. Did martial arts at the height of the B movie martial arts action genre. And how is it that you never seen him? Even though, I mean, but you had the Lauren Avedons, you had Brian Genesee, you had so many people. It's too many to speak of. Oh, it's just too many to speak of. We're getting all of these roles handed to them in these contracts, multi-picture contracts, and they were unknown. They were going with unknowns before they went with a best of A Last Dragon.
Because The Last Dragon, I saw that in the theater, and I mean, I have the disc, and yeah, I mean, that was very popular. I mean, it was Barry Gordy did that. You had the Motown soundtrack, everything.
They're taking this guy and put him into those canon movies, those Shapiro Glickenhaus, and all of those these. When worldwide they were making all of this money, you know. So yeah, so I remember vividly all of these things, and you know, Sasha.
It's one of my heroes there, and he just disappeared.
Yeah, but you know, they're given a lot of opportunity.
Yeah,
but that's why when for me, I learned the industry. I learned writing, producing to exist.
You know, at least Julius Carey got a lot of work out of that as the Shogun, the Shogun Harlem. So he did kind of at least.
Well, that's very little.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, he had a good run on the Briscoe County Jr. TV show.
Yeah. But you know, it's still, you know, he's playing the second banana. Yeah. But I mean, of course, he's where you first saw him, because he was Bucky. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, where is Bucky and what has he? Inventing Disco Godfather.
I like, you know, about The Last Dragon is when years ago they were talking about remaking it with Sam Jackson.
They will always talk about making remaking it because people will listen. You know, that's how many years now?
Oh God, 30?
Yeah. It's always that all powerful they thing. They're doing this. They're doing that. They're doing another Spawn. They're doing okay. This 10 years from now. Because what else are they going to say? I don't know if there's a former franchise in history that they are not doing or are not talking about doing another one.
Yeah.
It's the nature of people.
Well, now I got to ask you about the franchise you created,
Mm-hmm.
Black Dynamite. We haven't seen part 2 yet, but we are waiting for the Outlaw Johnny Black.
And that's going to be coming out. And they are talking about doing another Black Dynamite. And I'm part of they, so I can tell you that.
How, what made you make Black Dynamite? I guess it's the best way to ask it, because it's one of the greatest.
I just love action comedy. I like making certain political statements. I like putting everything I am about. And so I wrote Black Dynamite. I had the idea of it, and I said, I think this is funny. This is something I'd want to see. And then I made the movie that...
The Pimp Kotex was genius.
Thank you.
That's one of the whole. I mean, everything about it was so good. The boom mic that fell. The saying stuff like "Don't interrupt my kung fu." Having fiendish Doctor Wu. I mean, it was something that I could watch and be like, it brings back all these memories. Now, this is all the movies I like, and now we're laughing at it. We're seeing how they are. I mean, it was just a brilliant movie. There's no other way to say it on my end.
Yeah, I used to have blaxploitation movie night at my Quentin Tarantino used to come through.
Really?
Yeah. Sometimes I have it at my house, my buddy Billy's house, and of course Quentin is another deep nerd with movies, and early on, and Quentin was going along with this too. We just got busy, but the idea for Black Dynamite was going to be, I wanted to see if I can do it as Quentin saying this was this lost movie that he uncovered. You know what I mean? And people they would go, "Oh my God, that's so and so!" Like, you know, they know that it's not a lost movie because of the actors that are playing in it. You know, and him to go along with the whole folklore. You know. And so, we got busy. I ended up just doing it completely, myself. But we talk about some like funny ideas.
The trailer was genius to not use any of your real names or anything like that. Was that your idea too?
Yeah. I wrote those things. I wrote everything. And so I always like to have little underlying things like, like Michael T. Williamson, his name William T. Michelson, and Sally Richardson Whitfield is ebony fashion fair model, like that kind of stuff, and the fact that almost all lead Black actors of that time period were former football stars or football players. The Bernie Casey's, the Jim Brown, Fred Williamson, Joe Green, Rosie Greer. All these guys were football players first. Even Carl Weathers was a football player. Yeah.
Well, that was the line, and I'm going to get you sucker when Keenan Ivory Wayans was going to be a black hero, and he just looks at him, I'm ex-football player, and they all just go, oh, okay, like that. So,
yeah.
What is cinemaphonic quadrovision?
Just something we got. Yeah, they used to get real excited about all the new technology back then. Yeah,
I remember it was a big deal when I was a kid when you'd go to the 3D movies and you'd get the red and blue glasses and everything like that. That was state of the art. And then there was cinemaphonic quadrovision. I was like, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. So I couldn't wait to see it. And then, I really do hope you do another one.
Yeah, yeah, I am. I am. Uh, One thing, I mean, Black Dynamite 2, I wrote it a while back. I really think it's superior to the first one. We just had to get the right team together. I sure it was going to be done right and marketed right. Of course, we thank goodness through word of mouth that the movie became as successful as it is, and had this cult. I learned from the past, and I don't want to align myself with people who don't get it. And it was terribly mismarketed first. I just wanted to make sure that I got the right team now, and I do.
Tell us about the Outlaw Johnny Black. I saw the trailer and I saw a lot of similarities, especially in the outfit between you and the Fred Williamson film that Will described as Boss.
Yes. Well, I mean, he actually wore that very same thing in Joshua too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Um, what's interesting is you have not seen the Outlaw Johnny Black trailer. No one has. The trailer that you saw was a 1 day shoot, well before I even shot the movie.
So you already got quite a bit of footage.
No.
Or is that all you have filmed?
No. I have the whole movie filmed now.
Oh, okay.
What you've never seen a frame. What is out there as the trailer? That was something that I shot in 1 day, about a year and a half before I started shooting the actual movie. That was the trailer that's out there. That was to get the money for doing the actual movie. That was a tool to get the money to do the movie. It is in the movie.
Now, is this going to be a parody of some of the Black Westerns, or is this just going to be more of a serious film?
It's going to be like Black Dynamite, but it's going to be in the West. But it is just like it was a loving homage to that era, that so-called Black exploitation era. This is a loving homage not only to that era as well, but this movie is told in that same kind of tone. I've got amazing actors. I've got over 25 like well-named actors in this. And it's actually, I mean, it's loosely based on Black Wall Street, which is something that you're going to be hearing a lot about this coming year. That happened 100 years ago. It happened in 1921 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. One of the worst disasters, where this thriving Black was raided and terrorized and bombed by the citizens of the United States. And they basically burned down the most Black community in the country at the time. So there's a series that Jen and a lot of people connect to it, but there's going to be a series coming out this coming year that's all about it. And there's been this major push in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Fisher, on Tulsa in the spirit of Black Wall Street. So this movie is coming out the 100-year anniversary of Black Wall Street.
When is Johnny Black going to come out? Did the COVID postpone it for us?
No. Well intended. It's coming out. The movie is finished, but it's going to be coming out 2021.
How did Bronze Tiger come about for you?
Well, I didn't know anything about the character. My wife did, so
I was just
she
going to
told.
ask you. You did Spawn. You were the Bronze Tiger. You were in Dark Knight. Were you a comic book fan?
Not at all.
Okay.
Never been. But I guess I'm more. I'm closer to what I guess the superhero. I think if I'm playing Ben Turner, would Ben Turner be a comic book fan? Would Tony Stark be a comic book follower?
Mm.
You know what I mean? I don't see any real problem with it because my connection needs to be closer to the character than the fan base.
Because you did it perfectly. Because I am a comic collector, and your portrayal was really good. Just a great show. The choreography and the score and everything was very well done in that. Did you have any kind of play in your fight scenes?
Well, honestly, it was just done with some really. I mean, this guy, his James Bam. He's an amazing director, and actually, he's going to be stepping up into doing films now. But I forget what episode that was, but it was the episode with Bronze Tiger and Arrow go up against basically the whole prison
You're in the
system.
big slam, yeah.
Yeah, that episode was one of the best episodes I've seen on TV. Period. That episode could have been a movie by itself. I think that was the most successful episode of that season. And just from start to finish, Vinnie Jones, Kirk Acid, the ultimate bad guy.
Yeah, great guy. I got to talk to him about a month ago. Real cool guy.
What an amazing actor! What an amazing actor! He's mesmerizing. But in the stuff where Arrow and things side by side, and that that was just so much fun. And and I know Steven said, man, if I had more scenes like this, I would still be doing that series. It just got a little crazy, I guess. I mean, because I went a few years not doing the series and came back and everybody's a superhero. What is this?
Yeah, it got a little corny as it went.
Yeah, I'm like, what is going on here? And then they kind of infused me into this episode where I'm like, wait a minute, I'm like Bronze Tiger. Why am I in with? I feel like I'm at the grassy high right now.
Hey, it's a great show.
Like, what am I doing here?
Well, the thing was, when you had first popped up in was it season 2 when they had Unite and they were doing like their own Suicide Squad, everybody even said, myself included, that's the superior version of the Suicide Squad than what we all saw on the big screen.
Yeah, bro. What it is, man. What's sad is people in charge are so far removed from the audience, and they use the same metrics for like drama and comedies as they use for action films, and they don't work. It doesn't work that way. Of course, there's a surplus of dramas and comedies, and so name value means a lot because when you want to choose from, you might pick the name that you know that's more vetted. But if it's an action movie, the name has to make sense with the act because this person is super popular that people are going to support them in an action vehicle. That's the problem. They think that, oh yeah, we got to do this because this actor, and it's like, well, yeah, of course, on Marvel it works a great deal because I think they do it right. But there is the idea of casting the correct way, casting people that the audience really supports, and that's not a way that Hollywood has been doing it. You know, they kind of, I think, bully people into the positions and say, "Oh, I'm going to force feed this this person who you normally would not think of feed this person to you because what else have you got? Nothing else is going to compete with it, in the box office that time because they're buying up all the advertising. But then they spend a tremendous amount of money to get you to those theaters. Well, they don't have to nearly spend half as much if the characters fit. You know, I mean, you remember 300? Nobody knew it. You didn't know who Gerard Butler was.
No, he just a couple Guy Ritchie movies. That was all he
Oh,
had.
you were like, oh shit, that looks real. And then it kicked the ass. Like it that had name value, you know, and then Expendables beat the hell out of its competition. Expendables stomped the hell out of the Losers and 18. Yeah, then Hollywood thought, oh yeah, well, we'll put Bradley Cooper and this guy. Yeah, we don't. If it's an action thing, you call it the A-Team. Mr. T. We have people you believe that, George Papard, people that fit those characters. So you're just gonna force feed us some Hollywood guys, And so it's just like, but then Expendables, you had no ass. And I knew without a doubt. I said Expendables that's gonna do great because all of these guys are real.
I gotta say though, Rampage Jackson did a hell of a job as B.A. Baracus.
Oh, you may think so.
I thought he did. He had a lot of fun with it. I mean, it was a little bit different maybe, but I thought he did really good. And I'm an A-Team fan. Not the movie, but the TV show. I was warming the group.
I don't remember the movie all that well. I wasn't crazy about it. Yeah. He might have been, but of course he's just playing himself.
And I think he said Mr. T was like one of his idols as he did it. I thought he was the other ones though. I'm not going to buy Liam Neeson a George Papard role or anything like that. That was a strike there.
See, the thing for me that I don't like, I really despise, and it's going to step into this racial area, but it's like with even why the A-Team worked. Even though Mr. T character comes close, very close to that whole thing where the black character is close to being an animal. Is that your Chewbacca in this situation? Mr. T has such an integrity about him that of being this almost sophomoric or reptilian minded, just simpleton that they had to kind of Mr. T had enough integrity that he extended beyond that. Now, that's a very delicate line. Of these ensembles where the black guy is damn near the pet, and which I really despise because they're reduced to being just, monosyllabic, just that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a very dangerous stereotype. Seeing that movie and realizing that they're not being very conscious of it. Because someone might say, "Oh, Mr. T thing." I'm like, no, Mr. T is a real deep person. You know what I mean? There's something that comes through him, and he's a friend of mine. And that he had, close to animal thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's where that movie kind of bothered me a little bit.
Sick for a while. Is he doing okay?
I see him a lot. My daughter works at Ralph's. She works at a grocery store, and he is a minister, and his whole life is focused on just helping people. That are in need. Actually, we talked about doing a cameo in Outlaw Johnny Black, but he's so focused on helping out people less fortunate that's where his focus is. And honestly, I'm looking for the time where I need to help him out, in what he's doing.
Because he was a superhero. I mean, he really was a superhero, kids. When he was young, cereal, toy. I think I had the figure. I know I had the A-Team van, coloring books. I mean, everything. He was an icon.
That's true. That's why him being B.A. Baracus is deeper than the role that he's playing.
No, he was very, and he had see cab. That's something you'll hear about Mr. T a lot. Because who takes kids away from a drug dealer by pimping out a cab? I mean, that's some funny stuff back then.
Oh yeah, Bill Maher.
Yeah,
yeah.
Now, is there anyone you haven't worked with yet that you'd like to, in terms of martial art movies?
Oh, you mean martial artists?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to work with Donnie Yen one day. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't worked with Cynthia Rothrock yet, have you?
No, I haven't. Well, we see each other a lot. We have a lot of mutual friends, and we do a lot of these festivals together.
She's such a nice lady.
No, very much so. She's an inspiration. She what she does with her life, she is always like venturing out and just got so many. I mean, I live vicariously through some of her.
Oh yeah, she's hiking and rafting and climbing and everything.
Living life. She should be. She really is a just full of life and such a thrill seeker.
I loved her action movies, and I remember I had a huge crush on her when I was probably like 17 or 18, and my God, she's a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah,
time stood still for her.
Yeah, she keeps. I don't know how old Cynthia is actually.
I would have to. I mean, I have to say in her mid to upper 50s.
No, she's got to be older than that. She definitely has to be older than that, I think.
Wow.
But she's I think she's got to be mid to late 50s, I think.
Beautiful woman.
Oh yeah.
I have to ask because I don't keep much on. I watched last night your new movie, Welcome to Sudden Death.
Oh, cool.
It was a fun film. What did Jean-Claude Van Damme know that sudden death, though you were a different character, taking over that title, so to speak?
No, I'm sure he didn't. Just because he's a character, I mean, I don't know how many years ago. I mean, I don't think he has anything to do with the intellectual property. I don't know. I mean, but yeah, the movie's doing well.
It was fun. I liked it. I liked your janitor sidekick, Gus.
Yeah.
It had a nice comedic element to it. it.
Yeah, I handpicked that guy. Is a treasure. That guy's hilarious. And so I mean, the movies it's for a broad family audience, which is forward to doing. It was my foray into playing the husband and father. So it's not the stoic bad. I've played a number of times, but I prefer a role, and I love to be able to be closer to who I really am.
Do you think we'll see another Falcon Rising?
I hope so. We have plans on a series.
I really enjoyed that. That was anybody that's listening, if they haven't seen that yet, I think Netflix and Prime both have it. That is a real good film.
Well, thank you.
I mean, my wife and I both. She's a fan too. Both really, in our top 3 probably.
Thank you. Yeah, that's one thing I would really love to take serious.
And like we mentioned, you got the moniker now of the Black Dragon. Maybe one day you should do a movie like Original Gangsters.
Oh well, I think the Original Gangsters was original.
I think he's talking about doing another one. Maybe you could be in it. You could be the same character you were in Renegade. You could be the town drugs, and he could be there to stop you.
Yeah, right.
Well, I want to thank you so much. Where can everybody find you online?
Well, it's hard for me to remember. I'm at official Michael Jai on Instagram, and I'm basically just at Michael Jai White on everything else.
And you have a YouTube channel too.
Yes.
If you're a patron of your YouTube channel, you get to see a lot of extra stuff as well, correct?
Yeah. I have a Patreon channel where I give special martial arts, fitness, health advice, all that type of stuff.
Well, I want to thank you so much. This has been an honor talking to you.
Well, thanks, man. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. You have been listening to the Chronicles of Hollywood History. Thank you from Gomez Richmond Productions.